He is a god of the game.
Club football, we missed you, and how? Cristiano Ronaldo scoring a brace for Manchester United and Mourinho running down the touchline to celebrate a goal felt like we were going back 15 years in time. Even though we had Bayern beating Leipzig, Real Madrid's returning to Bernabeu, Djokovic missing out on a calendar slam, and an action drama-packed Italian Grand Prix, the one who actually stole the show was a 19-year-old English teenager, Emma Raducanu, at the US Open. Let's go!
Absolutely world class.
Hello and welcome to episode 31, where we are really pumped to discuss some really interesting events that happened and historic events that happened during the weekend. And to do that, as always, we have Ishan with us.
Hi guys, how's everyone? And please notice how Bala said Alves.
This weekend was actually really incredible. I mean, so many things happened. Hamilton and Verstappen crashed their way out of the Italian Grand Prix. Cristiano Ronaldo scoring a brace in his second debut. Mourinho running across the touchline to celebrate a winning goal. But the one sporting miracle that came out as a clear winner was a British teenager, Emma Raducanu.
Unbelievable achievement, and one of the it's actually she broke many records because she was the first qualifier to win a Grand Slam in the Open era, and to top it all off, she didn't lose a set in the entire tournament. That is incredible, unbelievable performance. Meaning she has a great future, a very bright future ahead of her. But I think we've seen so many of these young starlets in women's tennis in the last decade. We just hope that she maintains her focus and focuses on tennis and not the other distraction that will, come across in her life.
Yeah, also spare a thought for Leila Fernandez, another teenager from Canada who impressed everyone, but unfortunately Emma Raducanu was on top of her game and she won the game. But good luck to Leila also, and as you said, I really hope to see some consistency from women's tennis. I mean, for a while we have been seeing 4 different winners and people coming and going, so hopefully someone stays and continues this legacy for a while.
Yeah.
But as Emma was as Emma was making history on Saturday, we all thought Djokovic will repeat the same on Sunday, but only Medvedev was in his way and he won his first Grand Slam. It was a straightforward game. I couldn't watch it, but I guess it was a pretty straightforward game and Djokovic didn't do anything.
No, so I saw the game, and I think one very important point which actually Djokovic made in the press conference prior to the game was that Daniil Medvedev, according to Djokovic, has the highest tennis IQ he's ever come across. And that actually showed in the game. Yes, the scores, 6-4, 6-4 is pretty, it's a one-sided game. But if you see the highlights or, if you caught the game, Medvedev focused all his entire game on the gaps that Djokovic had in this tournament. Primarily being backhands down the line and trying to push Djokovic to the net. And Medvedev did that on and on and on. Yes, there were some spectacular points. Djokovic won at the net. But by and large, when you're playing against Djokovic, it's a game of fine margins. He just needed a break every set to win the match. And that's what he did. And typical Russian fashion, he did the job in the most efficient way possible. Not too much, sweat was lost. But yeah, it was a huge upset because the storybooks were all written, for Djokovic to create history. And I feel bad for him. I'm not a Djokovic fan. I really feel bad for him. He broke down in the post trophy ceremony, and understandably so, man. So close from history. And he fell short.
Yeah, but he'll definitely overtake and he'll definitely win his 21st Grand Slam pretty soon. So good on Medvedev for being the first Russian, I think after Kafelnikov, if I'm not wrong, the last Russian to win a Grand Slam.
Yevgeny.
Yeah, Kafelnikov.
Yeah, Yevgeny Kafelnikov was the last Russian to win a Grand Slam, yes.
Hey, sorry, actually Marat Safin won the Australian Open after Kafelnikov. So probably after Safin, this is the first male Russian to win a Grand Slam. So that's about it, guys. We will see you back at the Australian Open. So everything went as planned for Manchester United. Cristiano Ronaldo started. He scored a brace. I mean, if there were any doubts that whether this will work or won't work, I think Ronaldo pretty much made a very clear statement that what he is going to bring to the Manchester United team.
I think, first and foremost, man, what an atmosphere. I've never seen Old Trafford rock the way it did when Ronaldo first stepped onto the pitch. And he himself admitted post the game that he was shit nervous. I was seeing an interview with Julian Laurence, and he was saying he was talking to Michael Silvestre. Ronaldo couldn't hit a ball on target in the pre-match warm-up because he was so nervous. And if you saw the first 15 minutes of the game, he made really bad choices in terms of his play. But, the thing about Ronaldo is that he welcomes pressure, and he knew all eyes of the world would be on him. People would be waiting for him to not do anything today. And, he had to come up trumps. And, yes, his first goal was a tap-in. But if you see the highlights in slow-mo, he almost predicted Greenwood's cross would be deflected. And if you see it if you stop the camera when the shot or the cross by Greenwood is being made, he's the only one who moves. And that is the difference between Ronaldo and the rest of the world in terms of just presence of mind in the final area. And the second goal, man, 37-year-old running at 20 kilometers an hour, outpacing the Newcastle defenders and scoring a beautiful finish. Yes, went through the legs, but amazing. What a day in football. Even if you're not a United fan, what a day.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very weird first half. In fact, there were 6 games happening in parallel, and we all know that none of these games were actually televised in UK. But until Ronaldo scored the first one, there were actually no goals, and Twitter was going mad at 6 games going on and no goals till that time. But it was really great. I mean, it's still Newcastle. Newcastle were actually not very great, but see, Manchester United did their job and they came on top, and they are right now on top of the table with 10 points in 4 games, 3 wins and a draw. So that's pretty great. That's a pretty good start for them. On the other side, on Sunday night, we saw Liverpool defeating Leeds 3-0, but unfortunately the focus was on a horrible injury to Harvey Elliott. I mean, it was really horrible. Good that the telecasters weren't focusing on the real injury, showing multiple replays from multiple angles of the leg break. So, but even in real time, that injury looked really, really bad. I'm not sure whether it should have been a red card. I can understand it was a serious injury, it was endangering the opponent. But yeah, if you look at it a little objectively, it might have been a little harsh, but no complaints. But Liverpool were pretty solid throughout the game. They bossed it. There were no problems. In fact, they should have scored at least 7-8 goals. Mane alone should have scored a hat-trick and finally managed to score a goal in the injury time. And it was a great atmosphere.
I think, coming back to the injury, I think it was a very unfortunate injury in terms of, it was not deliberate by a mile. It was just how they clashed, and, it was just unfortunate, and I really hope Harvey Elliott has a speedy recovery. But I think what caught my attention the most was, Leeds are not the same Leeds of last year. It feels like Bielsa's team has been figured out a bit, because that high intensity football that Bielsa loves to play is now taking its toll on his team. Because, if you look at, middle of second half, by the 60th minute, that the team looks pretty exhausted just by the work ethic Bielsa puts them through. Do you think it's a cause of concern for Leeds this season, or you think they'll still manage and survive?
I think they'll survive. I mean, they'll definitely be at least 3 worse teams than Leeds this season. See, they definitely won't have a top half finish like they did last season. So I'm thinking they'll be somewhere around the 13, 14, 15, that range. Probably flirt with relegation maybe during the first 10, 12 games, but I think they should be fine. I mean, there are far worse teams than Leeds in the league right now. So,
speaking of the worst teams in the league, we had 2 of them play each other. I'm talking about Norwich, who's the second worst team in the league, and Arsenal, who's the worst team in the league. And it was a big upset that Aubameyang scored in the second half, giving Arsenal a narrow win, but by no means was this a comfortable performance. It was quite an atrocious performance by Arsenal, but Norwich is just really weak as a team. But more importantly for the Arsenal fan, they've opened their kitty in the goal scoring tally this year. This is their first goal of the season, so they're now at -8 goal difference. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very scrappy goal, scrappy win. But look, see, from an Arsenal point of view, you will have to take this victory and you should be happy about it at some level, because if this wasn't a victory and if they weren't scoring a goal, it would have been really, really worse. Yes, it was Norwich. I'm pretty sure nailed on, they are going to get relegated this time too. But yeah, it's a win at the end of the day. Now, talking about the other results, it started off with a London derby between Crystal Palace and Tottenham. Tottenham losing their winning streak. They lost 3-0 against Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira, ex-Arsenal legend, taunting Tottenham again. As a manager right now. Watford nil. Wolves finally managed to win a game. They scored 2 goals. Brighton defeated Brentford 1-0. West Ham Southampton ended in a 0-0 draw. Manchester City, arguably the toughest fixture this weekend, an away fixture against Leicester City. They managed to win 1-0. Manchester City, after their first loss against Tottenham, have produced 3 clean sheets and have scored 11 goals. So they're again getting back into their zone. But talking about being in the zone, Chelsea again 3-0, Lukaku again scoring 2 goals. I mean, Chelsea are looking too good, man. I mean, they're just really, really solid.
What about those 2 goals? Those are 2 outstandingly, beautifully taken goals by Lukaku, especially the second one, which was a top corner finish just at the edge of the box. Stunning finish. That's something that Chelsea's been missing for a while. Centre forward who is a beast, but in terms of handling defenders, but can also score goals like that from a distance. Unbelievable. He looks dominant and is making Chelsea. For me, they are clear favourites for the Premier League this season. Kovacic actually got his first ever goal at home. Meaning it was a very bad mistake by the defence, but a goal is a goal. And so, yeah, Chelsea, I think, isn't Chelsea top of the table?
So all 3, United, Liverpool and Chelsea all are on 10 points, but United are ahead. In fact, all are on goal difference also 8, but United are ahead in terms of number of goals scored. So Chelsea have scored 9 goals and conceded only 1. In fact, Chelsea in 4 games, they haven't conceded a goal in open play yet. The only goal they conceded was a penalty against Liverpool. So that's about it for EPL right now. The top 4, as expected, the top 4. In fact, whatever this weekend fixtures proved that the top 4 are really a cut above everyone else, and they are the top 4 right now, starting with United, Chelsea, Liverpool and City. See, I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch any La Liga games this weekend, but what an impressive comeback from Real Madrid. In fact, their first game at Bernabeu after almost 560 days. An impressive second half, coming down from 2-1, scoring 4 goals. How was it?
Let's put it this way. What a horrible first half. We didn't have Alaba in defense, who has been really good so far in the first couple of games. He took a knock in the international games and he was rested because I'm guessing for Champions League, and it really showed. In the first half we had no defensive discipline, and if you see the 2 goals Celta Vigo scored, they were in our language Pappu goals, where Courtois couldn't do anything, but the defense also had no idea. And in typical Real Madrid fashion, we responded in the second half. When everything is against us, I think that's when Real Madrid decide that there's a football match to be played. But, more than anything else, Karim Benzema, man. Karim Benzema. Without a doubt, for me, the most important clutch player we've had from a guy who's not named Cristiano Ronaldo. Unbelievable hat-trick. Perfect hat-trick in a way, because he scored with the head. He scored with, I think not with both feet, but, 2 goals with the head. But great. We've seen a huge resurgence of Vinicius under Ancelotti. He's by far now one of the most, informed wingers in Europe, and he's now added finishing to his game, which is great. A bit of a suspect celebration. He jumped into the crowd. I think he forgot about social distancing. He might get reprimanded for that, but Another big news, Kamavinga, our youngster, 18-year-old, big signing, Galactico, future Galactico, came on in the 65th minute and scored in his first 5 minutes. That's amazing. It was all in all a great match, a typical Real Madrid match under Ancelotti, where we will concede goals, but more often than not, we'll score more goals than we concede. So yeah, great result. You want to talk about the unbelievable, like miserable situation in my life because of Atletico Madrid?
See, I was actually following the game. I wasn't watching it. So first I saw Espanyol scored the first goal and Atletico equalized, but then that goal was chalked off for offside. So I was like, okay, this is typical Atletico style, going behind and trying to come back. And then they scored the equalizer, I think the 74th minute or something like that. I don't remember exactly when. But then I thought, like, okay, it's a 1-1 game. And then I saw 10 minutes of added time. I said, this game has something in it. The moment I saw 10 minutes of added time, and to my guess, 99th minute, I believe, Thomas Lemar scored the winning goal. Oh, it was incredible, man. This was typical Atletico Madrid. Were you watching it or were you following it? What were your reactions?
No, I saw the highlights this morning, and and it brings me back to the days when Colo Simeone has been complaining that only Barca and Madrid get extra time when they're losing. And come on, you got 10 minutes. That's a little too much, but they took their chance. Lemar scored a great goal, could have been saved, but he scored it. But I think the other big news which happened out of the game, that Antoine Griezmann made his return debut for Atletico Madrid, and I think continued the same form that he had with Barcelona. Did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he's been horrible for a while now. Apart from the 2 goals he scored for France in the last international game, he's had a pretty horrible start to the season. So the table as it stands, Real Madrid on top with 10 points, Valencia again with 10 points. Valencia have had a pretty impressive start. I mean, I never expected them to go this way, but we'll see how they progress. Atletico Madrid again 10 points.
I think we spoke about this in our last podcast. Under Bordalas, I think Valencia have found the right manager after Marquinhos, who was really good for them a couple of years ago. Somebody who understands their style, understands their fans, and plays with that level of intensity. And I think Valencia, they have the players. They just need to get the results, and I think this might be a really good season for them.
Yeah, I guess you mentioned Marcelino. By mistake, you said Marquinhos.
Oh, it's Marcelino. Sorry.
Yes. So, just an update, guys. Sevilla-Barcelona game was postponed, and Villarreal-Alaves games were also postponed. So, only 8 games this weekend in La Liga. In fact, 2 games are about to happen tonight. This was a massive weekend for Bundesliga, where we had 2 really big clashes, and both were absolutely cracking games. So when Newcastle United Manchester United game was going on, I wasn't actually watching that game. During halftime, I switched to Leverkusen versus Dortmund, which, in my opinion, the game of the weekend. It ended 3-4 to Dortmund. Incredible game. Haaland scored 2 goals, but the main talking point of this game was when Haaland scored the last goal. It was a penalty. It was a winning goal. He scored, and then all Dortmund players were going to the corner to celebrate. So Jude Bellingham was on top of Haaland, and while they were celebrating, Leverkusen fans were throwing beer cups at the players. Jude Bellingham was able to catch one and instinctively was going to drink the beer and realized that he is underage to drink beer and threw it off. Try to find that video online. It was hilarious. It has become a fashion these days, but what a game, man. It was a superb game. It was a typical Dortmund game.
2 games in a row.
Yeah.
2 games in a row. Haaland has bailed them out in the final minutes. And saved Dortmund from really poor results and a very poor start. But let's move on to Leipzig A versus Leipzig B. A great match.
It was a no contest. I saw the first half, and then second half I was on and off watching it. But then it was a no contest, man. Bayern were too good. They were too strong. Leipzig had no answers to whatever Bayern threw at them. And to add salt to the wounds, they brought in Sabitzer just to piss off the Leipzig fans. It was a no contest.
Yeah, why don't you get your captain in when you're losing? Like, unbelievable.
Yeah, the one player that stood out for me again, this youngster Jamal Musiala, who's been impressive. I mean, there's someone who is really making a lot of noise in Bundesliga and in German football. So we'll see a lot of Jamal Musiala as we move along. The only sad or the negative part for Bayern in this game was Gnabry's injury. So hopefully it's not a bad one and he recovers soon. And as usual, Lewandowski scored. Leroy Sané has had a new lease of life in this new season. He's been really good. He's been doing good for Germany also, and he's been coming up really good for Bayern. And who scored the injury time fourth goal? Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting.
Oh God.
So Bundesliga table looks like this right now. Wolfsburg on top, impressive start, 4 games, 4 wins. Bayern second, Dortmund third, and Mainz fourth.
Another interesting thing, I think, which it's like a segue to what's going to happen midweek, was Thomas Muller's tweet saying with Barcelona and saying excited for the next game. I mean, if I was a Barcelona fan, I would be pretty petrified right now.
Yeah. I still can't shake off that 8-2 from my head yet. So hopefully it won't happen this time.
All I know is Lewandowski will score.
Yeah, Lewandowski. I mean, that's a return. Actually, I just wanted to take a small segue and start this topic. Do you remember any time in the last 15-16 years of watching football, there is this string of forwards, these strikers are on top form like everywhere. You have Ronaldo, you have Lukaku, you have Salah being at a great form. He just scored his 100th goal. You have Benzema, you have Lewandowski, you have Haaland. I mean, when was the last time we saw so many strikers, so many prolific goal scorers on top form? I mean, this season is going to be insane, man.
And it's the funniest part is that you didn't mention Messi because he's not even played the game. Like, you will probably add that name to the list and add Neymar as well. But you're right, because, I feel that this post-COVID season where, clubs have actually spent a lot of money, there's a lot of pressure on these clubs and whether players in terms of their futures to perform, because, next season will be the season of free agency. So many free agents.
Yeah.
A lot of big players moving. So this is their time to shine in a way, and pressure's on them. So, it's just working out, and, we are very lucky as fans to watch some really great football being played, really great goals, and, top players playing top football.
We were talking about massive weekends. Italy probably had one of its biggest weekends. I mean, not just in football. We'll cover F1 in a short while. But Serie A again had its modern classic, Napoli versus Juve, where Napoli came back 1-0 down to defeat Juve 2-1. Trouble? Juve? Big trouble? Where will they go from?
I don't think so, because I remember when we were talking about their first defeat last week, I said that this is how Allegri starts. Like, he starts horribly. But what's worrying is that Morata's their best player. I keep saying this.
And again, the problem right now Juve is facing is the kind of goals that they are conceding. Like, really silly goals. Again, Szczesny in the middle of everything was an extremely poor mistake for the first goal. The second goal was almost an own goal. So, in spite of having Chiellini and Bonucci, yes, they are 100 years old, but still they are Chiellini and Bonucci, but still they are not able to stop these really, as we mentioned before, Pappu goals. Unless if they are not able to stop those goals, they are going to be in serious trouble.
Yeah, and like the second goal, I won't probably blame Szczesny. First goal is completely on him. It was a very lame, curler by Insigne, trying his traditional, goal, and he could have easily held on to the ball, but instead decided to parry it. Great finish, by the way, by the Napoli player. But the second goal was Moses Keane, who's a Juventus striker, headed it back into Wojciech Szczesny. Like I don't know what, he's a striker, he should probably know which direction to head the ball, and Chesney parried it, and Koulibaly again. If you guys remember last season, again Napoli won in the clutch in the last minute with a Koulibaly winner against Juventus, and it happened again. But what's really worrying is their midfield. Like if you look at last year, Winston McKennie was a revelation. Everyone was talking about the American killing it in Juventus. This season he just looks out of his depth. He does not know what is going on around him. Adrian Rabiot has never been the same since forever, since his PSG days. I still don't know what he's doing at Juventus. So their midfield is quite weak for a Juventus team. And in their forwards, you're relying on Morata. Dybala is still, he's not a goal scorer. He's not going to get you 25 goals this season. So a lot of things to worry about, because Allegri last time when he had a bad start, he had a great team to fall back on. This time he probably doesn't. So it'll be very interesting to see how Juventus cope this season.
Yeah, they are right now in 16th or 17th position, 3 games, only 1 point, 2 losses. But talking about impressive starts, I mean, Milan, 3 games, 3 win. Zlatan scoring in his comeback game. That was a great win by Milan. But the news of this weekend is Mourinho managing his 1000th game, and Roma winning by scoring an injury time winner. Steven El Shaarawy scored the winning goal, and Mourinho with his iconic touchline run celebration. Did you see that?
Dude, I saw the highlights. Do you know what happened in that game? So after Shaarawy scored in the 92nd minute, a great goal by the way, in the 94th minute, who were they playing? They were playing
Sassuolo.
Sassuolo scored a screamer of a goal from the edge of the box in the 94th minute, and it was ruled offside.
Oh.
And the next thing happened after the offside was the final whistle, and that's why, to give some context to the Mourinho celebration, was just the relief he had, because that goal was an unbelievable goal if you see it, which was disallowed. But what a start by Roma. Like, they are looking like a really good team, really solid team. And we discussed this about how they've actually adapted to Mourinho so quickly. Yeah. Unlike any other team we've seen in the past under Mourinho. So, I mean, great. Like, they're going to be a good challenge for the Milan clubs this season.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 clubs, Roma, Milan, Napoli, all have a perfect start. 3 wins out of 3. Inter Milan, 2 wins out of 2, but the third game they drew against Sampdoria 2-2. So Serie A is actually heating up pretty well. So hopefully we'll see another new winner this season, and not Juve or Inter. The Formula One this week had drama. It was drama all around, and what a mad race. It was the Italian Grand Prix. There was a massive clash. There was a massive accident between Verstappen and Hamilton. Ishan, why don't you quickly summarize what happened, if you can?
Man, I could not process what happened in that race. It was one of those, the Monza Grand Prix is always known for, it's a temple of speed. It's what it's called. It's always known for, ridiculous drama unfolding. But, the top 2 contenders for the championship, Verstappen and Hamilton, crashing against each other. By the way, for people who didn't watch, Hamilton was just coming out of the pit lane, and Verstappen tried to overlap him. And they nudged each other in a tight corner where, both of them could have given each other a little more space, but they didn't. And what happened was Verstappen then caught the edge of the track and then flipped onto Hamilton's car. And we were discussing this. There's a new, in the last couple of years, they brought along something called the halo, which covers the head of the driver. Verstappen's wheel landed on the halo, which basically protected Hamilton's head. I do not even want to think what could have happened if it wasn't there, say 3 seasons ago. What would have happened? Luckily, both of them came out unscathed. Not a lot of cold vibes between the two, but they're safe, they're ready. But what a race! My man Daniel Ricciardo from Australia, from Western Australia, with his first win outside of Red Bull at McLaren. By the way, it was the first McLaren win since 2012. McLaren are one of the great teams of Formula One, guys. And, this has been a really long time. About 185 races have gone by since a McLaren number one. And it was actually the first time since 2010 that it was a McLaren 1-2. So, Daniel Ricciardo finished first, Lando Norris second, and Valtteri Bottas came third because Perez had a 5-second penalty. Perez actually tested his luck throughout the entire weekend, but he got penalized in about the 40th lap where he had to take a 5-second gap, and which meant he finished fifth. And although he finished third, and Bottas came, third. So it's a great, like the Russian Grand Prix next. Today the stewards came out with the verdict that Verstappen will take a 3-place penalty as well as 2 points being deducted from the constructors. So it's really bad for Red Bull because the difference between Verstappen and Hamilton is just 5 points. So everything going down to the end. It's a nail biter of a season. And by the way, I can't wait for Drive to Survive for this season.
Yeah. No, when you say three grid place penalty, that means like if he finishes, let's say, first in the pole position, he will start on fourth, right? If my understanding is correct.
Yeah, correct.
Got it. I mean, that's a steep penalty. Yeah, it was really a horrible thing to watch. I mean, I was in real time. It didn't look that bad, but when I saw the slow motions, wow! Thank God to the halo. Otherwise, yeah, as you said, I don't even want to talk about it.
Lucky part was that they were at a curve where they are anyway not as on top speed. They were about at 100, 120 or kilometers an hour, which basically reduced the volume of impact. So that was lucky. Yes, it could have been much worse if they were at high speed.
Yeah, it was an amazing race. Congratulations to Daniel Ricciardo, the Australian, for winning his first Grand Prix victory under McLaren, and congratulations to McLaren for the top two finish. Unconfirmed sources from Twitter and other channels have made an announcement that Virat Kohli will be stepping down as India's white ball captain after the T20 World Cup. As I said, there's not a confirmed reports, and as it stands, it seems like Rohit Sharma is going to replace Virat Kohli as India's captain in both ODIs and T20. A surprise one. Do you think what? I mean, is the good decision, bad decision? I mean, I can't make it actually.
More than a good decision, I'm trying to understand why this decision. What's triggered it? Because I'm not sure. Because it's quite a sudden decision, right? And you've been following cricket a little more closely. I'm a little perplexed as to why this decision has been made. I think all of us are on board that Rohit Sharma is a better T20 captain any day, especially with the success he's had with the Mumbai Indians. But I want to hear your thoughts according, why do you think this might have happened?
See, again, right now everything has been speculated. What I saw again on social media and other sources is that Virat Kohli wasn't exactly happy with Dhoni being appointed as India's T20 World Cup's mentor. And guys, actually, we haven't covered this yet. India's squad for the T20 World Cup was announced, and Dhoni was announced as the mentor for the T20 team. So Kohli naturally thinks that BCCI is kind of undermining his ability to lead the team in big games, in big tournaments, in big finals. And this could have come after his failure in T20 with RCB over the years. India's World Cup 2019 semi-finals loss, even the World Test Championship finals, we didn't play really well. So I'm not sure whether that is the reason, but it looks like it could be one of the reasons. I mean, Kohli obviously officially came out. I mean, he hasn't officially came out and said anything. It seems that he wants to focus more on his batting, understandably so, and he hasn't been in his best form over the last 2 years. I mean, I don't know when was the last time he even scored a century. So that's very unlikely when it comes to Virat Kohli's batting. So a lot of these factors might have triggered, and also the fact that Ravi Shastri might step down as the coach. So maybe BCCI is looking for a change. Who knows?
Yeah, because obviously, I tend to understand Kohli's perspective if this is true. about the need of Dhoni being a mentor, because that is almost like a direct undermining of who he is as a captain, right? Like you're getting Captain Cool in a way to basically guide you through pressure moments where you probably suck. Meaning, if that's not a direct slap in the face to Kohli, I don't know what is. So, meaning, it's quite believable that that might have triggered it. Yes, his batting has been disappointing, but we're talking about just before a World Cup, and India and T20 World Cups, we are favorites in a way because of the squad we have. Making these changes at the end, I am not too sure how that would work.
Let's see. If Kohli wins the T20 World Cup as a captain, I think he will be the only player to win all possible trophies in cricket. Under 19 World Cup, the 50 over World Cup, Test Championship. I mean, not the World Test Championship, but he was a part of the number one Test team. So yeah, T20 World Cup is the only thing that's missing.
Hasn't Dhoni won it all?
Dhoni didn't win the Under 19 World Cup, but he won everything in the senior as a senior player. That's about it for episode 31, guys. When we come back for our next episode, we'll talk about all the midweek Champions League games. Yes, guys, Champions League is back. Barcelona are playing Bayern, and hopefully it's not another 8-2 drubbing. There is Inter Milan versus Real Madrid. Liverpool are playing AC Milan, the old classic. And we also have all the Premier League games to be previewed. And for Indian fans, IPL is going to start next weekend, actually restart next weekend. So we'll have a quick look at that also. But until that episode, it is bye from Bala.
And bye from Ishan, guys. See you next week.
Thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. And also, please, like we are literally begging to rate our podcast on whichever app you are listening to. It not only helps us, but also helps new listeners to find our podcast easily. You can also reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram @SportsCharcha. A big shout out to the Jam Room Audio for our theme music. You can follow the Jam Room on Facebook @the Jam Room Audio. Bye!
Absolutely